When you bring AI into your organization, you've got to decide where it shows up first. Do you give it to executives for better visibility and faster decisions? Or do you give it to the front line to increase productivity and reduce friction? One creates strategic clarity, the other creates operational leverage. Today, AI for executives or AI for the front line. Welcome to Binary Business. I'm Will Guidry. This is episode 4. We're using the ABCD framework to break down AI decisions: audience, build, convert, deliver. Today's decision determines who benefits from AI first, and that choice affects adoption, ROI, and how fast you can scale. This isn't about fairness, it's about leverage. Let's get into it. AI for executives or AI for the front line. Here's the scenario. You've got budget for AI, you've got buy-in. Now you have to decide where it goes first. Option 1, you give it to executives. AI-powered dashboards, real-time reporting, predictive analytics. Leadership gets better visibility, faster insights, and more confident decisions. Option 2, you give it to the front line. Customer support gets AI-drafted responses, sales gets AI-assisted pricing, operations gets automated workflows. Most companies, sadly, try to do both at once. They spread AI thin across the organization, and a few months later, nothing has really changed. Executives have dashboards they don't trust. The frontline has tools they don't use. Adoption is low across the board. Here's what I see work. Pick one and go deep. Build trust, then expand from there. If you give AI to executives first, you get strategic clarity. Leadership does see patterns they couldn't see before, and decisions do get faster. Resource allocation also gets a lot smarter. But here's the risk. The frontline sees AI as surveillance. They're being measured by systems they don't control. Then trust erodes, and adoption of future AI initiatives tanks. If you give AI to the frontline first, you get operational leverage. Productivity increases, friction decreases. The people doing the work see AI as a tool that'll make their job easier. But here's the risk. Executives don't see the value because the metrics they care about haven't moved yet. Budgets get pulled and the AI initiative stalls before it scales. So the question isn't which group deserves AI first. The question is, where does AI create the most leverage right now, and how do you sequence the rollout so trust builds instead of erodes? Let's break it down. Binary 1, AI for executives. Giving AI to executives first means leadership gets visibility, analytics, and decision support before the frontline gets productivity tools. Here's when this works. First, the business is scaling and leadership is making decisions on incomplete data. If your executives are guessing because they don't have real-time visibility into operations, AI-powered dashboards create immediate value. Second, resource allocation is the primary constraint. If the bottleneck is we don't know where to invest, AI that surfaces patterns, flags opportunities, and predicts outcomes helps leadership deploy resources more effectively. Third, you're building a data culture and leadership needs to model it. If executives use AI to make decisions, the rest of the organization follows. If leadership ignores the AI tools, nobody else is going to use them either. But here's what happens when you give AI to executives without thinking through how the frontline perceives it. The frontline sees dashboards tracking their performance in real time and assumes it's surveillance. They start optimizing for the metrics leadership is watching, not for the outcomes that actually matter. You get metric gaming instead of real improvement. Or worse, executives start making decisions based on AI insights without understanding the context. The AI flags a pattern, leadership reacts, and the frontline has to execute a decision that doesn't make sense on the ground. Trust in leadership will then drop. And here's the other risk. If executives get AI but the frontline doesn't, you create a two-tiered organization. Leadership has superpowers. The frontline is still doing manual work. Resentment will build. AI for executives works when leadership is the constraint and you build transparency into how the AI is used. Binary 0, AI for the frontline. Giving AI to the frontline first means the people doing the work get productivity tools, automation, and decision support before leadership gets dashboards. Here's when this works. First, the constraint is operational capacity. If your team is buried in repetitive work and can't keep up with demand, AI that removes friction creates immediate value. Second, trust in leadership is high. If the frontline believes leadership is investing in tools to make their jobs easier, adoption will certainly accelerate. If trust is low, they'll assume that AI is there to replace them, and adoption is going to fail. Giving AI to the frontline creates fast feedback loops. They'll tell you what works, what doesn't, and what needs to change. That learning accelerates your ability to scale AI across the organization. But here's the trap. If you give AI to the frontline and executives don't see the impact on the metrics they care about, support will evaporate. The frontline is going to be more productive, but revenue hasn't moved, costs haven't dropped, and leadership starts questioning the investment. So you need to connect frontline AI to executive level outcomes. If your customer support is using AI to respond faster, show leadership how that's affecting customer retention. If sales is using AI to generate quotes faster, show how that's shortening the sales cycle. The other risk, the frontline adopts AI, productivity increases, but leadership doesn't adjust expectations. The team's doing 2 times the work in the same time, but their workload just doubled instead of their capacity being redeployed. AI for the frontline works when operational capacity is the constraint, and you connect productivity gains to business outcomes leadership cares about. So here's the real question. The decision comes down to where the constraint is and what you're optimizing for. Give AI to executives when leadership is making decisions on incomplete data. Give AI to the frontline when operational capacity is the constraint and you need fast feedback loops. And here's the part most operators tend to miss. This isn't about picking a side. It's about sequencing. Start where the constraint is, build trust, then expand to other groups. If you start with executives, plan for how the frontline will eventually get AI. If you start with the frontline, plan for how leadership will see the value. Don't spread your AI adoption too thinly. Go deep, then go wide. In the next episode, we're going to talk about centralizing AI control or letting teams experiment. We're talking about governance versus innovation. All right, let's get down to the ABCD. A is for audience. This is where you ask, who benefits and who feels the pressure? If you give AI to executives, the audience benefiting is leadership. They get better data, faster insights, more confident decisions, but the audience feeling the pressure is the front line. They're being measured by the AI that they don't control. So here's how you manage that. Make the AI transparent. If leadership is using AI to track performance, show the front line what's being tracked and why. Don't let your AI become a black box. The worst thing you can do is give executives AI-powered dashboards and not tell the front line how the data is being used. That creates paranoia. Now, if you give AI to the front line first, the audience benefiting is obviously the team doing the work. They get tools that make their job easier, but the audience that needs to see the value is leadership. They're funding the AI. And if they don't see ROI, support will disappear. Here's how to manage that. Build the reporting layer at the same time you build the productivity tools. Don't wait 6 months to show executives the impact. Show them in real time from the start. The other audience question is, what about customers? If the front line is using AI to interact with customers, do customers notice? Do they care? Are they getting better outcomes or just faster, low-level interactions? If customer experience degrades because AI was deployed without quality controls, you'll lose revenue faster than you gain efficiency. B is for build. This is the systems layer. This is where you ask, what infrastructure supports this decision? If you give AI to executives, you need data infrastructure, clean data, real-time pipelines, dashboards that update automatically. If the data feeding the AI is stale or wrong, executives will stop trusting it within a week or so. I've seen companies build beautiful AI dashboards for leadership, but the data is 2 days old because the pipelines are broken, and then executives make a decision based on outdated information. It backfires, and then they stop using the AI entirely. If you give AI to the front line, you need integration infrastructure. The AI has to plug into the tools they already use. If the front line has to switch between 5 systems to use AI, your adoption is certainly going to fail. The other build question is, what happens when the AI is wrong, or as we know, hallucinates? If executives are using AI for strategic decisions and the AI surfaces a bad insight, you need human review before taking action. Build skepticism into your processes. Teach leadership to question the AI, not just blindly trust it. If the front line is using AI for customer interactions and the AI makes a mistake, you need fast escalation paths. Build safety nets so that errors get caught before they compound. You need feedback loops regardless of where AI goes first. If executives are using AI, they need a way to flag when insights don't match reality. If the front line is using AI, they need a way to report when the AI is wrong. Without those feedback loops, the AI doesn't improve and your trust is going to erode. C is for convert. This is the revenue lens. This is where you ask, how does this decision affect the money? If you give AI to executives first, the ROI shows up in better decisions. Leadership allocates resources more effectively, kills bad projects faster, doubles down on what's working. That's strategic leverage. But it's also harder to measure. How do you quantify the value of a better decision? You can try to track it, but it's a bit squishy. If you give AI to the front line first, the ROI shows up in productivity and efficiency. Customer support handles 2x the tickets. Sales closes deals 20% faster. Operations reduces errors by 30%. A client gave AI to their customer support team, and the ticket resolution time dropped by 40%. The team was handling more volume with the same headcount, and leadership was ecstatic. They celebrated. But only a few months later, revenue had not moved. Customer satisfaction hadn't moved either. All they'd done was make the support team more efficient at handling the same workload. So the productivity gain didn't create business value because they didn't redeploy the unlocked capacity. The support team just handled more tickets. So here's the rule. If you give AI to the front line, measure productivity and outcomes. Don't just measure activity. If support is handling 2 times the tickets, are the customers happier? Are they staying longer? Are they buying more? If not, you've optimized the wrong thing. If you give AI to executives, measure decision velocity and decision quality. Are decisions getting made faster? Are they producing better outcomes? If leadership is just consuming more dashboards without making better calls, the AI is not creating value. D is for delivery. This is where you look downstream. This is where you ask, what happens after the AI shows up in the business? If executives get AI first, delivery becomes more top-down. Leadership has better insights, so they make more decisions more quickly. That's good when leadership has the context. It's bad when they don't. A client gave AI-powered dashboards to their executive team, and the AI flagged a pattern. Customer churn was spiking in the Midwest region. The CEO immediately reassigned the sales team to focus on retention. The front line knew something that the AI didn't. The churn spike was seasonal. It happened every year at the same time because of budget cycles. The CEO's decision created unnecessary pressure on the sales team and didn't solve anything. The AI was right about the pattern. Leadership didn't have the context to interpret it correctly. If the front line gets AI first, delivery becomes more bottom-up. The team closest to the work is empowered to act faster. That's good when they have the judgment to use AI well, and it's bad when they don't. Another client gave AI to their customer support team. The AI drafted responses, agents reviewed them, and response times dropped by 50%. Yay! Except some agents stopped reviewing as carefully as they should. They trusted the AI. And when the AI drafted a response that was technically correct, but totally the wrong tone, it went out to customers without anyone catching it. Customer complaints spiked. The front line was moving fast, but the quality had dropped. Here's the rule. Whenever AI goes first, build quality checks. If executives get AI, make sure they're interpreting insights with context. If the front line gets AI, make sure they're reviewing outputs with a lot more care than normal, probably. Speed without quality is just expensive mistakes delivered faster. All right, here's the call. Most companies try to give AI to everyone at once. Executives get dashboards, the front line gets productivity tools. A few months later, adoption is low across the board because nobody went deep enough to build trust. Pick one. Go deep, then expand. Give AI to executives when leadership is making decisions on incomplete data already, and resource allocation is the bottleneck. But build transparency so the front line understands how the AI is being used. Give AI to the front line when operational capacity is the constraint, and you need fast productivity gains. But connect those gains to business outcomes that leadership cares about. Whenever AI goes first, that's where resistance will show up when you try to expand it. So if executives get AI first, the front line will resist when AI comes to them because they've been watching leadership use it for surveillance. If the front line gets AI first, leadership will resist when you ask them to use AI because they didn't see the productivity gains translated to revenue. So sequence this carefully. Start where the constraint is, build trust, show value, then move to the next group. Don't use AI to paper over bad management. I've seen executives deploy AI dashboards because they don't trust their teams to report accurately. That's a management problem, not a technology problem, and AI certainly won't fix it. I've seen companies also give AI to the front line because they're understaffed and can't hire fast enough. AI can help, but it's not a replacement for the people you actually need. Use AI to create leverage. Don't use it to avoid hard decisions about trust, hiring, or organizational design. Thanks for listening to Binary Business. If you're trying to figure out where AI should show up first in your organization, use the Binary Decision Scorecard. It'll help you see where the real constraint is. Click on the link in the description and get a copy. In the next episode, centralize AI control or let teams experiment. Subscribe so you don't miss it. If you're on YouTube, hit like if this episode was helpful. This is Binary Business. All signal, no noise.